so excited for our next guest. You can bring him up. I feel very comfortable because I'm bringing a dentist on stage. I need somebody who knows what mesial means. And Dr. David Phelps knows what mesial means. So Dr. David Phelps has been on podcasts. I've been at his courses. He's done so many things. So many of you know he is. But David, if you would just orient our community, give us a little bit of your story, because you're a dentist that's not currently practicing clinical dentistry. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, Paul, I actually started not in dentistry as my first out of the gates, but I actually started in real estate.
Oh, wow.
This is my first property while I was in dental school. Now, once I got the license to practice, yes, I went on into have a very solid career in dentistry for about 21 years. At the same time, I was adding to my real estate portfolio all along. I call it today I call it a plan B. Back then, I was just doing two things in tandem simultaneously. My daughter, Jenna, my only child, went through a lot of health challenges. She was diagnosed at a very early age with high-risk leukemia. She was able to survive that. Then she had epileptic seizures. And then at age 12, this was back in 2004, she was in end-stage liver failure. Subsequently, had the blessing of receiving a liver. But that's when I had my epiphany, and that is, why am I still doing what I'm doing? What I realized at that point, Paul, is I didn't need more money. I didn't need a bigger practice or more practices. I needed time.
Yeah, so I've loved you sharing your authentic story, and so glad your daughter is doing. But you talk your company Freedom Founders as we dig in. You know, you're talking. Sometimes it's time freedom. Sometimes it's freedom from the operatory. You created this group. And I have to say authentically, the people I've met from your group are some of the happiest dentisting humans I've ever met. And I think it's because you unlock for them a world they didn't know existed. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, 100%. I think Paul, every one of us, as we're building our momentum in our careers, our young families who grow to be middle-aged families and on out, we're always trying to figure out, well, how much is enough?
Right.
Well, how much is enough for what? Well, to be able to step back. To take some time off instead of feeling like you have to grind it all the time, or maybe at some point, and I don't like this word, but I'll just use it in context, retirement.
Right.
And the problem is with traditional financial models is there is never a point of how much is enough. It's a guessing game. Well, doctor, you need 5 million, you need 8 million, you need 10 million. Based on what? Well, just based on the fact that we have volatile markets. Yep, that's a given. So plan B for me has been, this is my experience, of course, my bias, but I know it works because it works for me and works for many, many of our members, is plan B is taking the investment capital one might have out of the main practice engine. And that's the key. Don't take it off the ball. The practice engine is the key to everything, but building a plan B wealth that produces sustainable cash flow. So it's all about cash flow. It's not about accumulation. So once our members join Freedom Founders, they get to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Even if they're not, quote, what we call free for life, they see it. The milestones are there, and now they know what they're building towards. They have clarity and focus on what's that number and how do I get there faster.
I love that, David. I always like to bring up this positive topic of my failed dreams, but I wanted to be an NBA basketball star. Didn't work out, spoiler alert. But I'm watching Winning Time, the story of Jerry Buss and the Lakers. And what I think you're sharing is, you know, if you think of yourself like a basketball player as a dentist, we all know players, some of them from Philadelphia, like Allen Iverson, who did not manage his money well. And we also know players like Shaquille O'Neal and Magic Johnson that manage their money well. And as dentists, if you only rely on the money you make from dentisting, you're very vulnerable because you could get injured, you could get tired, things could happen. Talk to me, David, about, let's now not talk about your 55-year-olds. Talk to me about a 30-year-old. You've created a program that we're sharing. Why are you inspired to get this message to the 28 to 35-year-old segment?
Because the sooner you develop a philosophy that's based on sound principles, the faster the track you will get to your freedom, however that's defined by you. And I know that there are so many young people, young doctors coming out of school. We talked about it earlier. So much debt today, and and how do I go through this world now, and associate to practice owner or whatever that's going to be, and then how do I invest my money, and do I pay off debt? Which debt do I pay off? How fast? When do I invest my money, and where do I invest my money if I'm not investing back in a practice or practices? These are the conundrums that everybody faces. And at a young age, the world is very complex today. It is very complex. My main goal is help as many people as I can, particularly those that are younger that aren't ready for Freedom Founders, because that's a certain criteria. But I love to give back to younger people and give them some guidelines, give them some heuristics. You know what
I
a heuristic is, don't you, Paul? Heuristic. That's from the Krebs cycle. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that because you created, just like Ivan Del Nachos, an online platform. We have one coming up soon. You can text REAL to 215-543-6454 to join. But I want you to take a minute. If someone was to register for this online real estate investing course to learn about the fundamentals, which could go for my first real estate purchase or as a refresher for someone who's experienced. But you told me you keep it small group to like 20 people. What's the vibe of this course? What do they learn?
Yeah. You know, many times in life, Paul, I think you'd agree with this, it's not always what we do end up doing, which is important, taking action, but many times it's what we don't do. In other words, taking a foot off and planning out a minefield. So my goal is to take people who have an interest in real estate. Maybe they've tried it a little bit, but there's so many onion layers to real estate. It's not what most people think. You don't have to go out and buy a property and be the manager and the contractor and deal with the tenants. That is a way to do it. But my job with a 30-day blueprint is to take people of all ages, and if you have an interest in real estate, to keep you safe and show you where you are in your career, probably what's the best way for you. And we have interaction on this 30-day. We get to know each other, and you get to see people that are at different stages than you are, and see through my lens, my many years of doing this, is what's your best tact and not to go into a danger zone, which it's very easy to do today because of where we are in the marketplace.
I like it. You know what, David, you should market it as it's a small group fitness class run by David Phelps for real estate that you can drink wine or coffee or have nachos, because that's basically what it is. It's a group class, kind of like a group fitness class where, you always have this instructor in front where you think this guy's never done it wrong or this, and you can share authentically, but then you have people in your boat, so to speak, and figure out. So I love it, David. We are taking applications for one free spot for a 2016 to 2020 grad. You've generously donated that. You have a Nacho discount for everyone who wants to sign up for this, David, which I love. But I have a really important question at the end. If I want to invest in real estate myself, do I have to know how to use a hammer to invest in real estate?
Better that you don't.
Yes, that's what it is. It's better not to buy a fixer-upper over here in Philadelphia and think that's it. So you're gonna help people prevent those problems. Actually, that movie, The Money Pit, I don't know if you saw it back in the day, very, very applicable to what you're talking about.
Very applicable, yes.
Awesome, Dave. Well, thanks for being you. Now, someone just wanted to reach out to you directly and was inspired. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, they can go to the website, freedomfounders.com, and there's a place where they can go to schedule a discovery call, and it is discovery. It's getting clarity and focus. We don't do sales. We do invitations, but we also give clarity to those who are not ready for what we do in Freedom Founders, and that's a big part of what I love to do. It's just help people with where they are.
Awesome. I love that, David. Loved our friendship. Love what you're doing. Thanks so much for being on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. So that concludes Talking Nachos. I want my team to bring up our Travis text code one more time. So text Travis to 215-543-6454 to join us for an amazing in-person event from the awesome Dr. Travis Campbell. Profitability, patient-centered care, cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. It's going to be fantastic. It's Friday, September 30th to Saturday, October 1st. Thanks so much for being on.